Alright everybody, how we all doing today? I know I'm doing great anyway. So yeah, let's finish off this quartet, if you will, of boys related videos. After this one, I'm probably gonna move on to something else. And then after that something else, we should get back to our after that video and maybe one more extra, we should get back to our regularly scheduled set programming of something animated. Can't tell you what exactly, but it's gonna be fire, I promise you. Now that's well, whatever. There were two of those anyway. But anyway, that's enough of me yapping. Let me just talk about Gen V now. Now, Gen V is a spin-off of The Boys. If you pay attention to the first episode, it's abundantly clear that it takes place after Season 3, but obviously before Season 4, because that hasn't come out, because that wasn't a thing back then. That wasn't even announced when this show was coming out. So if you've been watching the series along with me, or have been watching my videos in the order that they've come out, then you should be caught up to pretty much everything related to what's going to be coming up in this up and coming new fourth season of The Boys. But that's besides the point. So anyway, after that we get introduced to our main character, our MC if you will. And that main character is Marie Moreau, of course. Now Marie Moreau is very interesting because she has very cool powers. See, her powers are blood manipulation. She could control people, and she doesn't necessarily just control people or anything like that. She controls blood itself. Blood bending from Avatar, or similar abilities like it. Well, imagine that, but in the boys' universe, and it's not just about people possession; it's about other stuff too. Now, the reason why I'm going so knee-deep into her powers when I haven't really touched on powers like that in these previous videos is because her powers are actually going to be plot important. So, basically, we first flash back to a scene that takes place 8 years in the past, so around 2013 or so, or no, like 2014, 2015 or so, which to me doesn't feels, or 2016, which to me feels off because this is like a flashback that gives us the lore that the A Train became the first African American of the 7 team, and around that time, and it flashes back to a much more important plot about her childhood. But if that's meant to be such a monumental moment, why not do it around, say, 10 or 11 years ago? I'm just saying, I feel like they could have mirrored the importance of the alleged fake importance of that, and mirrored it to the election and or re-election of Obama, our first black president. But I'm getting lost in the weeds and I'm focusing on shit that does not matter. So anyway, after all that, we get introduced to her family. Her father, her mother, and of course, her younger sister. Now, back then, she was around 13, 12 years old, so since she's starting to go through puberty, she's starting to bleed down there, Unfortunately, that's when her powers first manifest, and realistically, since she has no idea that she has powers, and she has no idea what she's supposed to be doing, and because she can use blood like knives, she accidentally and tragically kills her entire family. Well, the mother and father at least, except for the younger sister, and that messes with her for years. And now she gets sent to this foster orphanage for soups, and it's seen to be kind of a depressing-ish place. Or at least she's not fully happy there because she would want to be with her parents that, she had accidentally killed. See, her motive throughout the entire series, aside from being one of the most heroic characters, if not the most heroic in not only this series, but arguably in the entire franchise, but her main motivation for those heroics, outside of her just good nature and good morals, is her being able to, try and find her sister and use her powers for good so that she can show her sister that she controls them now and that she loves her, try to get back with her. And that's kind of like her main goal throughout the series. That's why she decided, once she got the chance to enlist in, God U. Excuse me. Anyway, God U. Basically, it's a college of, well, soups. Of how to be a soup in training. Both the media aspect of it and the crime fighting aspect of it. Now, the crime fighting wing is a rare thing. It's not meant for the easy. It's not an easy track. It's kind of like getting into like a top class, a top math or top science, or like going into a specialty school like law school, or go and get into those like extra good courses, So she really wants to go there. And since she's an orphan who killed her own parents, she's about to turn legal, 18. So she was going to get transferred over to this adult facility for soups. And she doesn't want to go there, so she can't afford to mess up her chance to basically get out of the struggles of being an orphan and possibly becoming somebody important. Maybe even the first black woman in the 7, or something like that. So she has to also struggle with, trying to toe the line and, be the soup that could be, her, be popular, But it's not easy because her power of blood manipulation is not exactly the most hyped up quirk. My Hero and the boys have some similarities but a lot of differences. Anyway, her blood manipulation quirk is not very popular. You see, it's seen as gross and icky. Kind of like how society deemed Tomo, Toga, yeah, Toga's quirk in My Hero of basically being a pseudo vampire, but not really. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting sidetracked. So with that, she just has to deal with it. Now around this time, she gets sent into her dorm. We get introduced to her roommate, Cricket. She has a civilian name, but that's her soup name. Now Cricket, she's kind of a knockoff Ant-Man. And well, if we're being more technical, since she's a girl, a knockoff Wasp. But unlike Wasp, she can't fly and she can only shrink down. At least seemingly at first. Apparently it gets revealed later, like around halfway through the series, that she has the actual full power set of being a knockoff Ant-Man / Wasp, where she could also grow big. Unlike that other villainous fraud from the last season, from the 3rd season of The Boys. But she hides that because her mom, told her that she would be considered a freak or unusual for it. And that's kind of like a big problem that she has. She has these like body image eating disorder issues because of it. Now a part of it is just genuinely her power, so it's not fully there, but it just kind of but it still feeds into it to some degree. She literally has to puke up a lot of food and not eat anything in order to grow tiny. Kind of like that one drink me potion, or kind of like something similar to that, and that one and Alice in Wonderland, But that's besides the point. She's also a very friendly and very nice person, and we see that later on in the series. So after Marie gets introduced to Cricket over here, then we get introduced to a good possible stand-in for a new member of the 7th and our future victim, Golden Boy, aka Luke. Now Luke over here was a perfect shut-in, setup for that, but tragically he had some mental issues that we don't fully dive into at the moment, but gets discovered throughout the series. And because of these mental issues, that's not really his fault, and that kind of happens throughout his situation, he ends up he deals with a lot of mental issues, but we don't fully get into that until a little bit later, so let's keep it pushing. See, now she wants to get into crime fighting first for the reasons that we already talked about, but she was denied, so she has to go to the principal about it. And, that's when we get introduced to Jordan Lee. Now, Jordan Lee is this superhero that could change their gender on a whim. He's not really a boy or a girl, he could just transform into either. But alongside those powers, he also has enhanced strength and speed, and has some pretty good durability. And transforming forms allows him to have different fighting styles in a way, and allows him to take two very distinct shape and forms. And she's a hard worker who's dedicated, so because of that, she gets pretty high up in these superhero rankings that's based on popularity and some various other things. But that all changes in a sec. But for now, anyway, Madeline, the MC, decides to confront her about why she's not in crime fighting, and Jordan Lee, they were the ones who decided to, turn him down, and that's just how it kind of had to be, tragically. So then we move on to this other scene. Cricket tried to convince her to go to this popular soup party because Golden Boy's best friend, Andre Anderson, aka Polarity, tried to invite her. They met earlier that day, or I guess turning into night, because they both stopped at seemingly some crazy person, who got really high on something. And this person, who we later meet, is Sam. Now, this is not what it seems, but we can get to that in a sec. Now, after all that, we get introduced to, Golden Boy's girlfriend, Kate. Now, Kate is a telepath. She can mind read and manipulate, minds. She's basically a knockoff Professor Charles from X-Men. But unlike Charles, she has to make physical contact with another person and touch them, in particular with her hands. So in order to not casually mind manipulate people, she has to wear gloves 24/7, unless she's actually trying to use her powers for something. But that's besides the point. Anyway, these homies go, they're homies, but the MC just doesn't really know them like that. But anyway, these homies go out on a party, and tragically, one of them accidentally almost killed some civilian. So the MC had to step in and try to help and save the day. But since she was caught on camera using her powers, and since she was identified as being there, because they were doing drugs and almost got somebody killed, she had to take a hit for them and ended up almost getting expelled for it. And that doesn't sit right with her. She tries to go back to help the situation, but remember Golden Boy's issues that we talked about earlier? Well, he killed what's his job, counselor or principal? Either way, somebody very important. That doesn't matter anymore because Golden Boy just killed him. Of course, a fight broke out, but it's notable that the MC didn't fight. In fact, she ran away. The reason why this is notable was because Jordan Lee was the only one who actually fought Golden Boy, and Polarity. Okay, yeah, Polarity he's not really called Polarity throughout most of the series. He's called by his civilian name. Polarity is in fact a legacy hero name from his father, but for simplicity and the fact that he's being set up as the person who wears a Polarity costume, and possibly season 4 of The Boys. I'll just call him Polarity for now. Anyway, Polarity tried to talk down Golden Boy, but that didn't fully go well, and so he, tragically game-ended himself. And after all that, we have to deal with the fact that, Golden Boy game-ended himself and nobody knows why. Now, as it turns out, the big secret reason for that is because he got manipulated, because his mind got messed up because of this thing called the Woods. Now, the Woods is this big messed up experimental facility that experiments on soups for various reasons. And we don't really know what the true goal is until the near end of the series. And they kidnapped and brutally tortured and experimented on Sam, Luke, aka Golden Boy's brother. And now it's the sort of this suicide murder-ish mystery where we know who killed Luke himself, but we don't know why he did it, and they spend the rest of the series trying to get that mystery out. Now, the last very important character that we meet is, this, again, I don't know what her role is, as either a therapist, another counselor, or the principal herself, actually, but she's very important too. In fact, more important than the guy one I was talking about earlier. Anyway, Indira Shetty, that's her name, she is a psychiatrist. Oh, I'm pretty sure that's her role, psychiatrist / therapist, and maybe even principal, but that's besides the point. Anyway, Indira Shetty takes a special liking to the MC because after the tragic death of Golden Boy, he was number 1 on the leaderboard. He was basically the homelander of the school and a future member of the Seven. So now they have to replace him, and she, because she was much more marketable than the person who actually fought him, took his place. And that's generally the setup for the series. Couldn't talk about all of it this time because I wanted you guys to see it first.